Hey guys, I received a question about how to implement and how to test infinite scrolling in React, obviously. So this is a recent hook that is widely used, so I thought I'll give this one a try. And Gleb has received two videos 4 months ago, one on how to test infinite scrolling, and then the other how to use cypress-recurse. Obviously, we're going to use cypress-recurse because that's awesome. So the difference here will be that it's just another use case of infinite scrolling, and um, it's a component test. So that's going to be all the hype in a few months when Cypress 10 releases. This repository, it started with original examples of Cypress React component testing from the Cypress repository. And I took them, played with them, got them to a working state. Not everything was working. So it was perfect for learning. And then I kept adding to it. So I thought, okay, maybe we'll just add it to this repo here. So we'll just open that up. So here, there's so many different a la carte examples of component testing. And so many with hooks. So I'll put infinite scrolling test over here, and this is the component. It's one of their, I copied it from one of their simple examples. So we'll just go ahead and write a component test for this one. Okay, so the naming convention is per Cypress devs just add a psi. When I first started the repo, I got creative. I named a .com spec psi dot something is better, and you can adjust those how to filter those component tests in Cypress JSON. And so for now, I made it okay with both conventions. All right, so let's say we have the component and we want to write a component test from scratch. So we'll just first get the info component here, simple infinite list from exactly that. We just need mount from Cypress React. Okay, and simple infinite list. Oh, did I just delete something? Yeah. Why are you putting it there? It's supposed to be here. Hmm. Okay. Simple infinite list. This is here. This is here. And that should stop complaining. Simple infinite list. Uh, We're just going to ignore that. What happens? All right. So let's say describe infinite list and then should render. Okay. And then we'll just mount the component. Mount component. Close it up. This is curious. It's right there, right? So I should be finding it. Simple infinite list. Yep. Yeah, it's on OpenCT. And when Cypress 10 releases, they'll be the same runner. But for now, we have to differentiate. Be curious. Okay, so let's just look at it. Infinite list. Okay, well, guess I'm missing something. infinite list simple site. Yes, X. Okay, import import and infinite list from hmm, was I what was it doing? I actually I don't know what the difference between that and this is. Of course the file name. Yeah, keep your file names and all the same, right? Don't get creative. So what was this? Yep, lesson learned. Never. So yeah, keep the component name, especially if it's a default import, the same as the file name. And don't waste time on things like I did. And in your top describe block, always include some mirror of something that hints you that, okay, this is the test for that, so that when you load up all the tests, it makes sense, right? Like you can tell what describe block belongs to what test. Uh, good demo of best practices and how we can mess up the simplest things. So we'll just mount that. So many tests, simple infinite list. Okay, so you see it loading, and if you scroll down, yeah, it's going to keep scrolling down. Perfect, right? So the component looks like it's working. So we just have to write test for it right now. So let's get some real estate here. I added only one attribute to make selectors easy, and that's that. And everything else is the same as their example. So let's make this a little longer. Viewport height. Just make it something like that. Yep. All right, so it's a little longer. We can see more. So let's just see. I think it looks like 20. So let's try get by side light. So this is like a wild carded version of data side. So let's see if this is there. Okay, so that's not there. Maybe 19 then. Boundary values. Perfect. So that's there. Okay. So let's see if so 20 doesn't show, but let's see if it's going to find it once we help it scroll down. So if we help it scroll down, just increase the timeout. Now say 10 seconds. So I can keep retrying while we. All right, perfect. So if you scroll low enough, then it's going to find it. All right, so that means that's a perfect time to use recursion. So recurse is just, it's not a command, it's just a function. Cypress-recurse. Okay, so we want something like, and this can stay there. It's a okay enough minimal check to ensure that the component has loaded. You don't need more than one. Just try to write minimal code and get confidence that way instead of checking everything. Right? Always think, how can I do less work to increase confidence still? Um, so let's say we want item ID 60. I think that should be okay. So it should scroll a few times. And we'll just do a simple case in the beginning, right? So let's just, the first argument is the predicate. The issue with Cypress commands and predicates is that you want predicates to be able to fail. Um, so this, and Cypress commands auto retry, right? So you don't really want that to auto retry. And to, in order to work around that, so list item ID, we can do something like left showed like that, right? Let's just enter the second argument so it stops being so whiny. So this should be something like whatever jQuery item that you get out of that first predicate, okay? And item, nope, item. Now don't use too much AI to help you. It's sometimes annoying. Sometimes. uh, oh yeah, that's my mistake actually. Includes item ID, let's say. So you want like the first one to include 19. And even if you didn't have this loop here, it'd be okay. But yeah, when you have recursion, just use loop. Yeah. Oh, 60, yeah, 60 won't be there. So we want like, so that shows that it's retrying and at least recursion, right? But we want to make sure that this thing can work when we see it, and it can. Perfect. All right, so function that returns empty is also known as noob in Lodash. So we can just do that one, like Gleb showed in the video, which is so cool. All right, so this is going to do the same thing. Right? So the third argument is for two things. It's for logging and also for a post function. So we can use that post function to keep scrolling to the bottom. And I have another test that I use recursion in somewhere here. Um, has some values in there that I know work in CI. So that may be some trouble, right? It might work nice locally, but in CI, you never know. So you'll get a feel for it over time. And each test is different. So I think recursion looks like we load something that's about a second, uh, maybe a little less, but 1 second is okay. So we'll let it try. Yeah, I guess this is okay. So try 10 times over 10 seconds. But this depends. Like if you're looking so far down the list, maybe if you're looking for like 500, that won't be enough. So, I mean, if it scrolls to the third section, it's as good as like, or even second is maybe okay, but okay, give it third. That's as good as scrolling 10 pages down. Same thing. So let's just say 60. We want 60. We want it to retry, but we are right now, we're not even doing anything, right? It's just going to retry every second for 10 seconds or 10 tries. It's not going to find anything. So we need the post function to do something after it does the recursion. So that is scroll to, yep, can you scroll to? And that's bottom. Scroll to, what was it called? So I scroll to bottom. Yeah, I think that's it, right? It should be side scroll to, yeah, there's the spell. Oh, let's see if it scrolls down. When it finds 60, it should be like, yes, I have found 60. Let's see, yeah, 3 seconds. Yeah, maybe I'll increase this a little bit, but it found it at the end. That timeout. So Gleb did something super nice in his example, like, to highlight that final item once everything's over. And we can do the same thing, scroll into view, okay, and then scroll to view first. So it should be the top item, item 60 over there. Perfect, right? The first item. And then, maybe you want to make it even neater with that we'll just add some CSS to it. So like border highlighted, border, what was it? The red. What? I think this is, yeah, solid red. So it should highlight that item there. This will make our visual testing easier. And of course, you can complement this with Percy or whatever, right? And I think it's a perfect fit for component testing if you have visual different. Okay, so it looks like this is it, right? This is how um, you can implement infinite scrolling. So by using the infinite scroll hook, this looks and behaves pretty well per testing. And recursion is excellent to test any infinite scrolling anywhere, looks like. And that, yeah, just the predicate. Those may be the different parts, right? Stream predicate and then uh, your your recursion logic may be different, but the same idea, right, everywhere. There are a few more examples they have for this one. So maybe I'll try those, like scrolling to the right, scrolling the other way. Those could be interesting, but you can find the example for that in upcoming PR under React Infinite Scroll Hook and any one of these. If you want to see more component test examples, so that's in this repository, multi-stage caching, which became something for component testing mostly. I put every example I've seen in there. I have another repo. This is a mid-size app from the book React Hooks in Action. It's quite new. It has all the new stuff. And even concurrent mode is gone over, but it's just became a release candidate recently, so I'll add that maybe. But besides that, a lot of the new stuff with React is there, and component testing that goes with Cypress has been no problem. Uh, I have end-to-end tests here too, and I like to separate those into the ones hitting the backend as UI E2E and UI component integration tests that stub up the network as UI integration. So I only needed about this many, and then I only needed one true CRUD test that's hitting the backend. This one's using a JSON server. And I'm slowly forming an opinion on what should be tested where. Component testing is so powerful, we can do so much more than used to with unit tests. So I would say try to component test as much as you can at the lowest level component. And maybe that component doesn't have much access like to the network. You have to stop so much. So maybe when you're blocked there, you can move up to its parent, and then if it's parent, you can still do so much with the parent. Just don't duplicate anything. I try not to duplicate uh, lower level components at their parents or their testing of. And when that's not enough, move up to UI integration tests. You 80%, 90% of the time, you don't need the network. Just stub it out and test the integration of your components with UI integration tests. And only when that's not enough, when you have to ensure that the backend's fine, keep those end-to-end tests to a minimum. They still work super reliably, but you don't need to duplicate the cost, right? You should always think, how can I do the minimal work while getting the maximum confidence? Right? If something works for A, what are the chances it doesn't work for B? And if that's low, then always apply risk-based testing. Anyway, so that's it for the video. I started talking too much about testing. You have a nice one.